Historically, one manifestation is the debate regarding material and vital thinking from the early 1800s. And this is a tricky one because, technically speaking, it is very strictly oriented toward whether being alive is the result of superadded forces into matter. And precisely what those forces may be, at the time, people talked about electricity and magnetism and whether they were physical forces or aphysical in some fashion. But very quickly, the concept of matter being imbued with superadded forces in order to be alive was equated with such things as human agency and spirituality and moral responsibility. So, even though technically speaking, one can't say that the material and vital debate really tapped into issues of spirituality or religion or themes of meanings, in practice it does. Nobody ever trumpeted in favor of vitalism in the absence of such concerns. There is an association with the between the aphysical, the non-material, the metaphysical, with the capacity for moral and agent-based activity that is very, very hard to shake and creates immense confusion in discussing humans as animals or the experiences of life as biology. Therefore, we have wrestled with this ever since in a wide variety of ways. And in this case, the term vitalism has fallen out of use, and now we are faced with a very similar concern that also has its own sort of verbal disguise, which comes to the issue of belief, whether you believe in this or whether you believe in that, and often thrown up as these incredibly dichotomous things when in many cases they're talking at complete cross purposes. My favorite example comes from teaching when, through the moment, I was presented with the opportunity to teach a 3-week course at Valdosta State University in southern Georgia. And this 3-week course had the students with me all day long. I don't know if we called it a mini-mester or a Maymester or something like that. But the idea was that the course was called Human Biology. It had been on the books for many years, hadn't been taught for a long time, and they said, hey, why don't you teach this one? I think you'd like it. And I said, well, you know who you're talking to. If I teach a course called Human Biology, we're not going to be doing just how the digestive tract works. I'm not going to treat it as a pre-health track. I'm going to actually talk about what I consider to be human biology. And they said, we're fine with that. The administration said, sure, go right ahead. So there I was, and the students at this university generally came from smaller communities across South Georgia, and they had come to Valdosta of 50,000 people to go to college. And I had had a very good year teaching there and was really looking forward to the class, but I knew that we were dealing with a lot of stringent issues. So the very first day, we did our material and vital discussion and exercises, and I was talking about this issue of category error, and one of the students pops up his hands in the back, and these are students who have had no experience with me to date, and says, let me see if I understand this. You're saying if we're evolved apes, you're not telling us not to believe in God. And I said, that's right. And he said, let me think. And the other students are paying strict attention to this. This is a big moment for this class and how they're going to be stuck with me for all this time for 3 weeks. What is this guy on about? And the student thinks and says, all right, I think I got it. The only problem that raises is being absolutely strictly literal about events in Genesis. There isn't any other problem with that. And I said, that's right. And he said, I can live with that. And the whole class relaxed. The whole class threw themselves into studying the human animal with a lot of fun. And it was a great 3 weeks. And I think that's actually pretty enlightening. I think it's worth pointing out that these ideas of what you do or don't believe are not the dichotomous Manichaean conflicts that they're often billed as. And at this point, you'll notice the student didn't even ask me what I believed. Why? Because who cares?